In this video, I will show you how to tell if something was written by AI. There are 10 signs that every teacher, examiner, student, employer, job seeker, or anyone else should know. Let's get started. I have grouped them into obvious, hidden, and deeper signs. Here are some texts that I have included as well. At the end of the video, I will test to see if you can identify the use of AI without an AI detector. The first sign is overuse of M dash. M dash is a long line that is used in writing to show a break in a thought, longer than a hyphen, approximately the width of the letter M. And in Mac, you can use Option Shift minus to create signs like that. So in this writing, there is overuse of M dashes in these pairs. The second sign is use of exaggerated words. You can see in these two paragraphs, these words have been over exaggerated. And at the same time, you can also pick on M dashes. So now you know that if you see two paragraphs or you see paragraphs which M dashes and words that are being exaggerated, you know it. The next sign that you can pick on is word use. These are generic adjectives and adverbs being used in paragraphs. And here is a list of all these words: important, significant, effective, useful, helpful, clear and obvious, innovative, unique, strongly and clearly. So these are some words that can be used, and there might be more. So these are the three different paragraphs. There are two formal ones and one narrative, but you can still see that there's an overuse of words such as easier and clear, significant, effective, helpful. You can also pick on words such as important and so on. The fourth sign is same sounding words, normally use of sounds which are being repeated. So here you can see constant challenges, warming weather, practical, possible, permanent solutions. So you can see that the fifth sign is parallel structure, that is repeating sentence structure, which could be noun plus an adjective, a verb plus an adverb. So if you look here, the main subject is storm, and it goes on and looks at adjective and a noun, and then it goes on and describes it again, then it names another noun, and then it describes that what's happening there as well. So now you can go ahead and look at verbs as well. So he waited quietly, and then waited is repeated nervously, and then you can see that there's a pattern in the use of similar sounds and similar structure that it normally generates. Next feature is predictable sentence length. So when you generate a search, normally you'll come up with paragraphs which might be between 4 to 6 sentences long. And here you can see these are two paragraphs, and these two paragraphs have around an average of 5 sentences each. And if you look closely now, you can pick on M dashes. You can look at the use of adjectives in here. You can look at the way in which these sentences are phrased. So the next one would be structure of writing. So this is a paragraph on climate change, and you can see in the structure looks at grouping of nouns, verbs, and adjectives at times. And you can clearly see how the nouns are being grouped together. And sometimes what happens is it comes in this pattern as well. So these shifts threaten ecosystems, endanger species, and disrupt food production worldwide. So here you can see that the verbs are being grouped together and nouns are grouped together as well. And at times you'll see that adjectives are grouped together as well to describe. Number eight. Number eight looks at perfect structure, but there is no personality. Normally, there is a parallel structure that is being used, which refers to same pattern of words. For example, reduces stress, improves focus, boosts success. No personality refers to a generic tone, which is quite flat. Here is a short narrative writing. So the topic is the storm's power, And now you can see a lot of words are being used and all of them are grouped together. And if you look closely, you can pick on from the previous example, the sign that we discussed previously as well. So there's a grouping here happening as well. And you can see that these words are being put into a pattern. So if you come across a structure which looks like that, there's no personality, you'll be able to pick on how it was generated by AI. Number 8, the writing generated by AI would be quite false sounding. The writing often looks perfect but seems to lack personal touch. Sometimes it makes things up or it sounds sure of itself, but it's not real. For example, a paragraph on technology, right? So if you could see, they have started with a generic opening and there is a parallel structure which is grouping of three words. Then it looks at an example which looks at quite balanced as well, and then it comes up with a generic list. So for example, in schools, it talks about how it looks in schools and so on. Then a conclusion which might be quite predictable, and again there is grouping, right? So you can easily pick on the structure, looking at the structure, how the writing would have been generated by AI. The final sign is over explaining of ideas. Normally, the ideas sound complicated, unnatural, so it becomes quite obvious as well, or sometimes it's overstated. So, for example, this paragraph is on eating breakfast in the morning, so it goes on to explain why it's important, and then it makes an assumption that people do not know about something, so it goes and adds another detail to that. Then it gives an example. So when people eat breakfast in the morning, they're giving themselves fuel, and that goes on and explains what happens at work and at school, and then what are the effects of that. So you can see there's a pattern of over explaining a concept, and finally the conclusion would be overstated as well. Finally, whether you are a teacher, student, examiner, job seeker, employer, let's put your knowledge and skill to the test. Here is a collection of 6 different text types. Can you identify whether it was generated by AI or written by human? These texts include a cover letter, narrative writing, another cover letter sample, writing sample, a social media post, and an article. We'll start with the first one. So if I copy that, so now once you've got your answers, we'll put it through detector tool and paste. Generate search. So the first one shows that it was generated using AI. So high, a percentage rating of about 95%. The next one. So the next one was written by human, but has a bit of AI influence, but generally written by human. This third one, the third text. So there you go, likely written by a human. The fourth one, let's see what comes up as we search for review of this article. So this one shows it was most likely generated by AI. And then this one was most probably generated using AI as well. And the last one, possibly human written, but a bit of involvement by AI. So if I go back and show you my answers, so this is how it should look. The first one was generated by AI. This is human written. This is human written. This is generated by AI. This post was generated using AI as well. And this was the first portion was written by human, and then second part was generated using AI. So these are some skills that you can use to check if whether an article was generated using AI or written by human. So in this video, what we did was we looked at obvious, hidden, and deeper signs of detecting AI in writing. And what I've given here is a list of things that you need to look out for as you detect AI in the writing samples that you might examine. Now, you have learned how to detect AI use in writings. Like, comment, and subscribe to help me grow this channel. Thanks for watching.